Hey guys, um, okay, I'm going to wait until people joins the chat. So when someone's here, please say hello to start the session. Just placing some windows in my desktop. Let's put this here. Let's go to Lichess and hopefully we will have some people joining for this session when we're going to talk about strategy. I have no plan, so not sure how this will work. Yeah, I think while people don't join, I will do a tactic or something. For example, puzzle of the day, maybe. Let's start with something simple. And hey, if you join the chat, please say hi so that I know that I'm no longer alone. Okay, this is a checkmate in 2. Not a tough one. Waiting for people. Let me check the Discord for a second. So if you... Oh, Joanna is playing chess now. I thought she was playing Hellblade. It's a pity we're colliding. It is what it is. This is my Tuesday streaming, so that's my schedule. So is anyone here? I'm basically waiting for Karmar. Karmar suggested the title for this stream, so let's see if he can join. And whenever you get here, please say hi in the chat so that I know I'm not alone. In the meantime, I'm checking some messages, some notifications I have. Oh. All right, guys. Is anyone here? Does anyone see the checkmate in 2 in this puzzle? I'm gonna do it and move on and do a harder puzzle so that I can wait for people to join. Let's continue training. So let's do one more. This is gonna be a tough one now. So I guess with this puzzle, I'll give time for people to join. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, without even looking a lot at the position, this is the first idea that comes to mind, right? This discover attack. Now, what's the position about? We have equal material, but hey, isn't this winning material? Probably not, because we're also pinned, right? So okay, it's an interesting idea, but it might not work. Threatening the knight, another idea. To start attacking, maybe. That's also possible, yes. Because queen g5 would have a couple of ideas, both knight f6 check and d5. You know, to get out of the pin to allow d5 is interesting, and do it with tempo if possible, but I don't quite believe it. I don't quite believe it. For example, after queen d2, just knight d5 probably stops everything. So if I start with d5, I'm assuming black has to save the queen. There's the alternative, rook takes d5, right? That's too complicated. Rook takes d5. Too complicated for me. We win an exchange there with bishop takes b6, but exchange for a pawn doesn't feel right. The screen appears very small. Oofda. How's that? Select sign, how you doing? How about now? Much better. Okay, all right. You know, I have this set up for tactics, and then the other just to share the browser, and I think I'm gonna use the other at some point during this stream, because my idea is going to create a study. I'm going to create a study, and for that I think I will need the other view at some point. But okay, for now, let's solve this puzzle until more people join, and then we start with the strategy session. Okay, more ideas. So d5 wins an exchange for a pawn, apparently. What else can we do? There's this move. I'm not sure why would that work. There might be some back rank ideas also, but I don't see how to get them. Now a5 is not very forcing. d5 is really forcing, right? d5 is maybe not as forcing as I think, because if he just moves the queen out, my pawn is pinned, so I'm not really winning anything. So d5 is not very forcing. That's what I don't like. Queen d2 is forcing. Hey Roken, what's up? Queen d2 threatens a piece, so I guess it's forcing. But again, knight e5 and I don't know, a5 queen c7. So I am not ready for this. I only see d5 and the knight f6 idea. There might be some ideas connected with bishop h4, but I don't believe them. I just got banned from some small stream for disagreeing with the streamer. What? Oh, that sucks. If I mean, if I get angry with you, I will get angry, but I will not ban you, I think. I just said he was worse at a certain point in the game, which is true according to Stockfish. That guy seemed nice, but apparently has a huge ego. It's very common in chess players. But yeah, there's some chess players that they are always better. Like, even if in the games they lose, you cannot truly analyze with them, because it's I was better, and then I decided to give up on the game, but I was better. He was repeating, this guy is trash, his chess is trash, I can prove it. But instead of actually proving it, he banned me. Maybe that was his kind of proof. That's what... Okay, I'm sorry that these kind of things happen. I'm sorry it happened to you, Rocking. I hope you're not pissed off, because honestly, if this guy does this, he doesn't deserve viewers like you. So I guess life is good. Hey Ray Clay, let's roll. Yeah, let's roll. WCM Anna Beher Oof, Bering Breivik. Why so many Breiviks? Thanks for the follow. Just joined what happened. Now we were talking about Rocken just being banned from another streamer's stream by disagreeing with the streamer. The guy has like 5 viewers usually, and he just banned two. Not the smartest cookie. Okay, I don't know. You know me. I always ask you not to follow, not to subscribe, not to donate. But yeah, banning. I think that's the next level. I should start banning people so that I get under 1,000 again. Hey, then I can get to 1,000 again. That's a plan. Sounds like a plan. Start banning people. No, I mean, I have you moderators for that. You ban people, not me. Okay, I wanted to do a strategy session. I have no plan for today. Well, I have a plan because I mean the plan is like that in less than 2 hours I need to stop streaming. But I mean I have no plan for the stream. But yeah, Karmar suggested this topic, so I'm going to do one puzzle to win time, so more people join, and then we do a strategy session. Not sure how to do it. Probably I'll create a study and we discuss some positions. Okay, I will wait at least until Karmar is here, if he's ever here, and otherwise until I solve this puzzle. I think that's the plan. I would never ban anyone for a disagreement. That's weak as hell, yeah. I mean, banning for disagreement. That reminds me of what's this called? The paradox of tolerance. Do you know that one? Let me go back to the browser. If you don't know this concept, it's a very interesting one. Paradox of tolerance, because people who are I don't know, clearly racists or sexists, or people that are intolerant, they will tell you, "Oh, but you're banning me because you disagree with me." So they would use that very same argument to discuss that they were banned for no reason, just for disagreement. But of course, it's not disagreement. Karl Popper, 1945. That's when the paradox was described by Karl Popper. States that if a society is tolerant without limit, its ability to be tolerant will eventually be seized or destroyed by the intolerant. So, should we tolerate the intolerant? And the answer is no, we shouldn't. So, yeah, I agree with you. I wouldn't ban anyone for a disagreement, but the people that you ban, like for example, they use sexist language, for example, or they keep spamming people, they would argue, but you're banning me because you disagree with what I say. Careful with that, by the way. Twitch nowadays. With what? With sharing Wikipedia on the screen? We shouldn't tolerate intolerance. Oh. With that. Yeah, I don't regret saying that, honestly. I think... Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, Karmar is here. Yeah. Just came home from work. Intolerance will not be tolerated. Exactly. Intolerance, intolerant people will get their own medicine. So Karmar is in the house, so maybe we just go into how many viewers? 16 viewers now. Okay, I'll try to do this puzzle, and then we start with the strategy session. How about that? Let's try to do it, guys. Let's try to do this together. I think d5 is one idea. Exactly, feels very good indeed. Karmar. It's like rar. Karmar. Okay, so d5 is one idea, and after rook takes d5, I think we win an exchange for a pawn, so that doesn't feel right. There's the idea of queen d2 winning a tempo to then do something with the queen, and there's the idea of a5, but I'm not able to calculate now, and I think I'm missing some other ideas, maybe, just maybe. After queen d2 95, I didn't see a proper follow-up, so I don't like it. You know, whenever black blocks on d5, I'm running out of ideas. So maybe we just need to start with d5 by elimination, and then if queen moves, I have no threat, but I guess I can proceed with queen d2 or yeah, queen d2. Actually, yeah, if queen moves, has to keep an eye on the knight, so probably queen a5, then queen d2, and we're winning the knight. Knight c6. No, the bishop's still on c6. What am I? What am I saying? Okay. Okay, so d5 is interesting because if he cannot move the queen, then he has to go for black has to go for rook takes d5. As usual, at this time, tram wasn't coming, so I decided to walk home. And as I came home, still no tram was there. So good walking there. Good decision. Okay, I'm gonna go with d5, and oh, I got lucky here because I got the easy line. Yay! But I was concerned what would happen after rook takes d5 here, and I thought this way I would win an exchange. But the knight is hanging. It's not an exchange. It's a rook. Oof, I'm slightly blind. I think we should move on from tactics to strategy. It's a good moment. But hey, another green. Yay! Okay, so 28 viewers now. Okay, that's more than 20. Time to start with strategy. The book about the thinkers. Yeah, it's you can see it here. Yeah, it's one of my favorite books. Anyway, what are we going to do? I have no plan, but Karmar suggested talking about strategy, so let's talk about strategy. No tactics, Clash Kid, no tactics. We're gonna move into strategy now. I hope the title is correct of the stream. Yeah, approach to strategical thinking. Yeah. What is the theme of that book? That book is all about photography. And let me share with you the name of the Spanish photograph. If you don't know him, you should follow him if you like photography. Tijan's mom showed some pictures from with him. Yeah, it's a very good photograph. He posts a lot on Instagram, so it's very accessible. Photographer. I think I said that right. And the book is awesome, all about pictures. You know, he covers the main events in chess all over the world, and yeah, it's just a book with the best pictures of any strong player you could name probably. Anyway, no challenges now, please. What we're going to do is talk a little about strategy. I think I'm going to create a study, learn, study. There's a picture of GM Vallejo holding his head. Yeah, I was asking myself if this photo was created after his game with Tijan. No, it was before that. But that's a very common gesture of Vallejo during his games anyway. Okay, let's create a study. Let's call it strategy. Oh, let me turn the engine off. Okay. Let's say strategical thinking. No, we're not going to go into openings today. Today the theme is strategy, and it's a tough, really tough topic to discuss, but I'm going to try my best because in the end I need to explain it also to my students. So it's something that I think doing this stream will help me elaborate my speech on strategy. Okay, not pure strategy. We're gonna go through examples, I guess. Public, allow cloning, yeah. Computer analysis, nobody. Opening Explorer, I don't mind. Chat, yeah, everything is right. Okay, so what do I want to do in this session? I want to answer the question, what is strategy and how do we get better at it? I think I was coming from home to here. Karmar suggested the topic, and in this 10 minutes walk, I was thinking, what is the answer? What is the question I want to answer? And I think that's the question. What is a strategy, and how do we improve at it? Because of course we're not gonna cover like every strategical idea today, or in a stream, or even in a series of streams. Chess is deep, so yeah, I came down to this question. It is a common thing that explaining things to others also helps explain a lot. Yeah, also that. So I was actually thinking about one example to start with that I think will help a lot to explain what I think is a strategy. But first, a small disclaimer here. I'm a 2000 rated player. So this is how I approach strategy, or how I see strategy. And of course, for some of you, it will be helpful, but for others, it will be like, I don't know, not helpful, or just too basic. You could start to explain the most basic thing that so many players do not care about: always have a plan with every move you make. Yeah, I think we all, okay, those basic things that we hear all the time, we don't need to repeat them, right? Like, it's better to have to have a bad plan than not having a plan. Hey, Borg, how are you doing? Or don't move the same piece twice in the opening. You know, all those rules we're saying them every time. But I wanted to go slightly deeper in the concept of what is a strategy, and how to approach it. And I remember the other day I was watching a lesson of the Scholastic St. Louis Chess Club. I can't remember the name of the grandmaster. It was one guy that gave a simul exhibition, and then he analyzed the games during a lesson on strategy. And he said a quote, an expression that I liked a lot. He said, strategy is how you take decisions that make your life easier. And I think that's exactly to the point of how I see strategy, as opposed to perfection in chess. When we talk about tactics, we talk about something immediate, and about one right solution. And when we talk about strategy, we talk about plans, and they're very different. They're very possible, all of them. But I like this idea of making your life easier. I think that's the difference between strong players and weak players. Sometimes they just take decisions that make their life easier, and then eventually the game is so easy for one side and so difficult for the other that tactics don't matter anymore. Anyway, I don't want to speak a lot. I prefer to go over examples. So I have the perfect example in one game I played, but I'm gonna go right into the critical position, and let's start with that one. Because in this game, and it was a long time ago, it was, how can I see the tags here? It was in February 2015. So it was not a long time ago. It was only 3 years ago. But I remember I had a revelation in this game. After the game, I was like, I had a mind blow. Like, I made a move and it was so great, but I didn't understand it. And I think that's another common thing when we compare weak players with strong players and how they understand the game. Strong players sometimes say, yeah, here you have to do this. And it's obvious for them. And for weak players like us, it's like, I have no clue why. And we think about strategy like that also, like knowledge, like something strong players have. They know things that we don't know. And how do you get to know those things? I wrote a code. This will be interesting. Yeah. So in this game, I made a very good move, and only years later I can say I understand the move. So let's go there. How can I call this chapter? I don't know. Intro. And I want to start with this position. So let me edit the board and go to the position, because I don't want to show the full game. I think it misses the point. Although it's a very interesting game because I managed to draw in the end. Here. Okay, this is the position. What a coincidence, I have a book named An Approach to Chemical Calculations in my exam preparation, and your title is pretty similar. Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's go to the position. And just a little bit of context in the, on this game. This game was in a team competition, the chess league. So I was playing with my team, and we played against the strongest team in the competition. And I played against the strongest player I would face in that league. So it was a very important game, and I blundered in the opening. So after the blunder, I got to this position. White to play. White cannot castle, of course. No one can castle. It's very stupid. These checkboxes here are stupid. Anyway, white to move. Yeah, create chapter. And sorry, I want to share the link with you. I didn't do it. And I think I have a study command. Study. So from now on, in all streams we are doing studies, I will use this command so that anyone can get the link again at any point. Okay, so actually, you know what? I'm gonna change this so that you guys can do it, but I'm not gonna turn the engine because that could crash my stream, but I'm gonna change the properties so that everyone can use computer analysis. So feel free to use the computer analysis. Okay, so what happened in this game is I just blundered. Like 2 moves ago I blundered, and I'm a pawn down already in this position. Also my pawn structure is not the best, and I would like, if you want to suggest any moves for white, I can tell you in this position I spent like 30 or 40 minutes because of course, given the context, you know, the player had, my opponent had, I was still 1900 rated and he was 2200, so big difference. Pawn loss is not a blunder. Well, if you see the previous position, I got more or less lucky to get to this position still alive. But yeah, it was a blunder. I mean, the evaluation here is probably already -1 point something. There's only one move. I think if you leave Stockfish think for a long time, there's only one move to keep the position under -1. Um, yeah, I will call it a blunder, what I did in the opening. I just blundered a trick and I blundered a pawn, and it was a very important pawn, so we got to this position. Anyway, my point is, what happened here to me is I thought I would lose very fast the game because I already did this in the opening. It was a classical chess game, by the way. I guess you already figured it out, because I said I calculated here for like half an hour. And in this position, I calculated every move, and I went as deep as I could because I was working for my team. I didn't want to make it easy for my opponent, and I wanted to find the best continuation. And after a long thought, I said, I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this, but the only move that seems to keep the chances in this game is, as Clash Kid is saying, h4. So I remember I calculated a lot here, and this is part of the discussion I want to have today about perfection in chess versus strategical thinking. Because nowadays I would think immediately as Clash Kid, oh, h4. Strategical thinking will tell me I need to play h4 now. But back then, I didn't have those kinds of ideas. Back then, I was only pure calculation. I was trying to find perfection in chess, so to speak. And we're not perfect. We're not perfect. So after this was an incredible move I made, and it was good. Then I made mistakes because we're not perfect. But yeah, to me it was a revelation to be there calculating a lot and a lot and a lot, and the best move after all those calculations seemed to be giving up a second pawn in a position where I was already a pawn up. So for me it was like, I cannot believe this, I cannot believe this, and I kept calculating and calculating and calculating, and I couldn't believe it, but h4 seemed to be the only move that worked. And okay, Karmar is saying, for me h4 looks like just losing another pawn, and exactly, that was exactly my kind of strategical view back then. But my calculations showed that it had to be the move. And yeah, Roken is pointing the idea behind h4 is to keep the h file open. And nowadays, I think h4 is not obvious, not even for it's not even obvious for Stockfish. I think you need to give Stockfish time to consider it as the best move, but it is. And how to say this? Yeah, for me it was a revelation, because at that point I didn't understand it, but I did it. I did it because after calculating so much, PMAV, thanks for the follow. So nowadays I understand why h4 is a good move. The G file is already opened. Yes, but the G file, what I really want, Karmar, to have counterplay is both files open. That's the way to ensure the counterplay. We can play some moves, we can. But what I understand nowadays is I have a different view of this position. I like what you say. I think everybody has a special game in his head that completely changed his mindset about chess. Yeah, I had a couple of those, and this was one of them, because by the moment I didn't understand why that would be the best move, but I calculate, seems to be the best move. Okay, let's do it. I don't understand why, but let's do it. But I also want to point out the difference between calculations and strategical thinking, because of course with strategical thinking you get the move immediately, like Clash Kid did, and then you use calculation just to verify that there's no no problem with it. But when you don't have that knowledge or that strategical understanding, then all you got is calculate. Did your opponent expect h4? No, he didn't expect it. I have the game commentated, so I was reviewing the commentaries with him the other day, and he didn't expect it. But it's a logical move. Yeah, Karmar, the Three Queens game. Okay, so how I understand today this position is we have, or the things that are important in this position, we're a pawn down, right? We have opposite side castling. And when you have opposite side castling, you're supposed to attack. Like both sides are supposed to attack. Why? Because you can push the pawns in front of your opponent king without having to push the pawns in front of your king. So, so basically, we all know these opposite side castling games where everyone is attacking everyone and the first to strike is the one who wins. So it's very important in this position not to lose the chance to have counterplay. Let's say, for example, I do a logical move like bishop e2. I don't know, or a3 or knight e2. There are several moves that can be done, but any move that is not h3, h3 to h4, for example, bishop e2, would allow a move like bishop h4, blocking that pawn. And from there on, the game would be black attacking white. And white having no counterplay, because in the g file I'm basically hitting a wall here on g6, and without the h pawn I cannot break on h5. So our club coach told us, if you have a bad position, play it like a worse rook and pawn endgame, active. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. That's usually a good strategy, and we go back to that definition I heard the other day about strategy being about taking decisions that make your life easier. And it's always easier to be active than to remain passive, defending every weakness, like h3 here, which is a weakness that is going to be there for the rest of the game. It's also counterintuitive maybe to play h3 and then h4, no? Part of your mind is like, if I wanted h4, why didn't I just play it? Yeah, well, this was right after the opening. It was move 12 already. So yeah, it was very early in the opening, and of course h3 was a move, part of the theory. Hi. Hello. Streaming here. Okay, hey Pluku. What are we looking here? We're doing our usual, strategy, exactly. We're doing our usual Learning Chess Tuesday stream, but without Quartillo this time. And Karmar suggested the topic of strategy, and we're starting with an example I wanted to share. So this game is mine, Pluku. It's from 2015, and it's a game where I had a sudden revelation, but I had the revelation after the game, because in this position I was a pawn down against a much stronger opponent, and I worked this position for like 30 to 40 minutes of pure calculation, and I came to the conclusion that my best move here was to give up a second pawn, and that's how the game continued, and we were talking about how back then I didn't understand the move, although I did it. I made the move, I mean, but I didn't understand it. Now I can understand it. Now I have some, I don't know, knowledge or understanding that will tell me we need to keep the H file open to have counterplay. Okay, I think I'm going to take the risk to turn the engine on, although I think you can use it just to show. Yeah, H4 is already the main move. Okay, let's stop it. And yeah, in that moment was a huge revelation for me, because if we don't do that, then black is going to attack for free in this position, and I will have nothing to do against it. Okay, I don't want to show the game, but I guess I'll put some the main move here. Promote variation. I don't know how to put this. I'm not sure if this study is going to be useful, honestly. Let's put some comments or something. Browser. Okay, good to know. But yeah, for me it was very important. So counter, well, it's not counterintuitive, but giving up a second pawn is not an well, is the best option. These are the moves I have difficulties to find. Yeah, actually, it's what I tell you. And at that moment, it was hard to find for me as well. I basically considered every legal move, and I calculated everything. And strangely, and because I had time to calculate, and I spent it, I came to the conclusion that it was the best move. But it was pure calculation. And that's what engines do. Engines do calculate. They don't have strategical thinking. They do calculate, they do assess very well, so then they pick the best move. We sometimes do that, but for the most part we don't. so strategical thinking is important to find this kind of move just by feeling what the position is asking, not by having to calculate everything. I had another revealing example in another game that I don't have the game, which is a pity. But I played against a strong player once. Also, it was previously to this game, previous to this one, and I got to an endgame which was my bishop was clearly worse than my opponent's, but I thought I had everything defended, and we played like I don't know, 50 moves maybe, until he destroyed me in that endgame. He started taking my pawns. But at some point, then in the analysis, I was like, because I calculated a lot and it was a tough fight, and in the analysis I was like, oh, but I could defend better with this and with that. And my opponent told me, your bishop is a bad bishop. You had no chance. You had zero chance. And and then I tried to defend that with the help of the engine analyzing at home, and I was like, oh snap, I'm losing every line. How is this possible? This is totally equal material. I know my bishop is bad, but how important is it to have a good position? I wonder how engines will play in 50 years. I expect a lot more strategical sacrifices than nowadays. Yeah, but sometimes we call something strategical. Like, for example, this h4 move, the engine, like in 3-4 seconds, the engine is totally positive about this being the best move. We can call this a strategical move because it doesn't win anything in the short term. It only helps to keep the counterplay for the rest of the game. So we can call this move a strategical move, but still an engine can can very fast assess it. So yeah, I don't know. The engine is all pure calculation anyway, and we shouldn't try to be like that. It's strategical for us, but the engine can still find it by tactical means. Yeah, exactly. But in this game, in this specific game, I found it by tactical means, by calculation means. I didn't understand the move. I really found it by calculating, and that's something that rarely happens. It happened to me few times. Okay, that nickname. So it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't mean we cannot find those moves just by calculating, but it helps to understand the ideas, of course. PMAF says, in my opinion, strategical thinking in the context of engines is to choose which move to consider first. Yeah, like the heuristic to get to the solution faster, right? Karmar says, I think some strategical aspects are coded into an engine's evaluation routines. Yeah. Positional things like double pawns. Yeah, how they assess positions. Yes. Those heuristics are used for sure. Bishop pair, king safety. Yeah. Okay, so Diablillos. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this. I mean, I can share the whole game, but I'm not sure if it's important. But I managed to draw this game, and h4 was totally important for that. However, we both made mistakes from this point on. How did you create an attack out of this? Okay, let's follow the game. So he took the pawn, of course, and probably moving rook and queen to the h file. Yeah, that's the idea. But the game was complicated. Here, apparently, the best move according to the engine was queen h3. Okay, let me show the full board. I'll show you the game, just for curiosity. So the best move was queen h3, allowing him to take on f2 because that would trap the bishop, and I didn't see that. So I played a very human move, f4. And then the engine is ruthless, yeah. Then he played f5, which is a very good move because it blocks any break I could have on f5. So yeah, both here or in the line without my sacrifice on h4, he would have f5, so I would have no breaks at all with the pawns. So it's important to keep the h file open for that reason, because if I had a pawn here on h3, this would be terrible for me. How could I attack only on the g file? So if okay, we can maybe discuss some other ideas of strategy in this game. Now that I'm seeing this move, I played e5, not taking either way. Why would I do that? What do you think? I have to say that in the moment, I sure made all my decisions based on calculations. Yeah, exactly, Clash Kid. Counter-attack on the center. If an opponent attacks on the side, counter-attack on the center. Yeah, also that. And I'm the one attacking on the side so far. I'm the one that has ideas to attack on the side, and he's still not attacking, still not. But he will. However, if I open the center, that's good for the guy who has the material, which is him, and the guy who has faster access to the open file, which is him. So, and I think more importantly, I would have a terrible pawn on f4, terrible pawn, weak pawn. Also, the d4 pawn will not be very happy. So yeah, opening the position was not good for me. So okay, I'm gonna follow the game for some moves. E5, rook f7, with ideas to attack in the future, but also to defend the weakest pawn. So his idea is with the rook here, he's gonna have the safest king ever, and he will start attacking. Now queen h3, hinting at rook h1. He went back with the bishop, another mistake according to the engine, because there was no need. But small mistakes. So besides my blunder in the opening when I lost the pawn, and his final blunder that we'll get to there, we'll get there. Despite those two mistakes, for the rest of the game it was very sound according to the engine, the game. So 92 to meet c5 with c3, c5, c3, b5. Of course, he's attacking. And here, because he didn't take, I took, with the idea to occupy d4 with a piece. And I want to keep things as close as possible. And my attack still not there. Up to what point did you calculate when you played h4? Honestly, I can't remember. Maybe I saw this position or something like this, because more or less black's idea was logical, like, you know, c5, b5, and also f5. I saw that. I remember seeing f5. I think rook f7 surprised me back here. I think rook f7 wasn't my first idea in this position. I thought he was going to go c5, b5. But yeah, these kind of positions I had seen when I played h4. Okay, and now knight 94, rook f7 makes room for knight f8. Yeah, knight f8 and you don't get mate, right? No, I think his idea with rook f7 was to defend the weakest pawn he had, so that the king remains safe, and also winning a tempo in the future to double rooks anywhere. h4 cool also in a sense that it gives you a clear plan for the rest of the game. Yeah, exactly. So again, we go to that definition of strategy as making decisions that make your life easier. Or what we said about playing active and not passive. He didn't want to take c5 with knight because he thought he might need it to defend. Maybe, yeah, maybe. I think he doesn't need it because h7 is very well guarded with the rook. But yeah, maybe. Where do you live? In Spain, Chesking. Okay, at this point I'm threatening this pawn and this pawn. So maybe queen b6 was possible, but he decided to take the knight. Rook takes, and here he made his first mistake, because when I took here I calculated the following line, the line we played, which was rook b8, rook b4, a5, takes, fork, and I think he missed. I had a defense for the fork, queen f1. So I basically regained one of my pawns with this line. Ta 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 ta. Knight c5. a4, and now I have dreams to be safe with my king. 94 with some threats. Rook g2, queen e3, again with some threats. King c2, stopping. Rook c7, and of course we're missing. I didn't want to go into tactics if we want to talk about strategy, so that's why I'm moving fast here, this part of the game. But of course there are many lines, tactical lines and stuff. Here I played the only and best move according to the engine, rook e2, exclam, queen back to c5, and here it comes another very important moment of the game. Basically, here comes his blunder. D4 is one threat he has, and there are some ideas connected with also this sacrifice and also knight g3. So basically here I had to choose between two moves that defend c3 and prevents knight g3, which are queen f3 and queen h3. And okay, I did the one move that prevented d4, which is the other threat he has, d4. Queen e1 also maybe a candidate, maybe. I can't remember exactly what I thought, but yes, you're right. It definitely defends against knight takes c3 and knight g3, but it's probably not good against d4. Okay, so here it was a tactical thing, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I played queen h3. That prevents d4 because of a trick, and he didn't see it and played d4. So I remember someone said that after I played e5, someone said in the chat e6 could be a target in the future. This is when. This is when, because he missed that after d4, bam, rook takes e4, and I have a perpetual there. And that's how the game ended. Pawn takes, check, king, let me see where the king went, to f8, yeah. And yeah, and here it was an immediate perpetual, and the game ended in a draw. I got him on a cheapo, yeah, sort of. But still, the other day I was showing this game to some of my students, and they said, oh, but he had no need to blunder that. He could have kept putting pressure. There was the queen g1 line, the knight f2 line. There were several ideas. And I said, yes, but there's no immediate winning plan for black. The engine still says -1, just -1. It's a pawn up, but it's nothing more than that. So I managed to keep the game alive, and I think all of that is thanks to the h4 move. Anyway, it was nice that here he cannot block with the rook, which would be a human idea, right? Like, oh no, he's got me in a perpetual. How can I escape from the perpetual? Oh, I have this, and then that would be a cute checkmate. But of course, my opponent was too strong to fall for that, and it was a draw. Yeah, so practical decisions that makes your life easier. Having activity is usually a good idea. So back here I can imagine how by not pushing h4 I would have no threats on the king side, and he would come all at me in the queen side and have an attack for free. In the game it was not so straightforward for either side, but yeah, I had chances, and definitely h4 helped, although at the moment I didn't understand the move. My last of the board game on Sunday I didn't win with queen and pawn versus rook and bishop. Okay, that's not an easy one. I mean, queen versus rook is not easy already, and bishop and rook, oof, not easy. I usually prefer the bishop and rook versus the queen. Anyway, let's try to find another example of something. If you didn't understand the move h4, so you just played it because you felt it has to be done. No, I didn't play it because I felt it had to be done, because as I explained, I didn't understand it. But it was pure calculation. I calculated lots of lines, and the only one that seemed to lead to something was h4. So so yeah, I didn't really understand it. I didn't really feel it was good. It felt to me the same you said before. It felt to me I'm just losing yet another pawn. But yeah, it was brute force. It was like the engine Pepe working there. Like I spent 30 something minutes calculating, and I said, okay, that's the best I can get, and I don't understand why. And sometimes that happens. Okay, let me find a different Pepe Fish 1.0. Yeah. So in 30 minutes, maybe I get to the same depth that Stockfish gets in 3 seconds, in 2 seconds maybe. Okay, so I have a study here for my students with some strategic blunders. So I think I can take some positions from there, probably. Or maybe from some of my games. I think this h4 is very interesting for this discussion, strategy versus tactics, or what I call strategy versus perfection, because I think no one is perfect, not even the best players in the world, so we shouldn't strive for perfection in chess. We should go after understanding, not after perfection. Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, the other day I had a game with Chespatzer Wales. Let me see if I can find that one, because I think that's another interesting one to include here. Let me open in a new tab. It was an endgame that I didn't play perfect. He didn't play perfect, but I had the best bishop. And after the game, he was like, "Good job, good technique, Pepe. That was awesome." And I was like, "Oh, I did great." Then we ran the chess computer analysis, and it was like, "Boo." But my life was easier than his life, so I think that's also important. So let's see if I can find that game, because it's interesting. Maybe I need to go to his profile. He plays Chespatzer Wales. And I'm sorry to show a loss by him, but he also shows losses by me. Oh, I didn't write his name right. Makes Chespatzer Wales. I think I wrote it right. Maybe not. Okay, give me a second. I'll eventually find it. Okay, let's see. I think I played him like 2 days ago. Oh, in the tournament, yeah, sure. Maybe if I find the tournament, it's easier. For French defense, no. Chess weekly prize arena, there we go. Oh, there's a search box there. Okay, now no, it's okay. Oh, it's Chespatzer Wal, not Wales. Oh, I've written his Twitch nickname, not his Leech's nickname. All right, now I can see his games versus me. Engines will break your heart. Yeah. 6 games with you. Okay. Engines are always quite demotivating. Haha, so often I thought I found a good move and then checking with the engine, it turns out as a blunder. Yeah, but again, we're not perfect. We will never be. Even the best players in the world, the best, they do blunders. It's not important. We shouldn't think that because we do a blunder, we're the worst. Because understanding and strategy that don't have anything to do with blunders. Of course, we need to practice tactics to do less blunders. But doing blunders doesn't mean we're the worst. We don't know how to play this game. We shouldn't think like that. And what was the end game? It was this one. Yeah, and I have the computer analysis here. I think you can see it, and you can see how I was black, and how in the end game I was not in good shape actually at some points. So, for example, in this position around here, I thought I had a great endgame with black, and actually white is winning according to the engine, and then we all made horrible blunders. Let's have a quick look at the endgame without the engine evaluation. Let me, from the black side, if possible. No, my bishop wasn't dead, I think. I can't remember, anyway. Okay, we have to say this was a blitz game. Well, it was rapid, but I berserked. So this comes from here and here. When I made this decision, I made what it was an obvious decision to me. I'm not sure if computer agrees, but to me it was one of those decisions that make my life easier, which is to trade bishops here and have the better bishop after e5. So I have a great bishop, look at this, and he has the worst bishop, right? That's what I thought. And I thought this would be easier for me to play. And I think I'm right. I think I'm right. This is easier to play for black, although it's objectively a draw. But it was blitz, so... And then I moved around. He cannot take on h6, or he could. Sorry, he cannot take anything. He has the c4 square for the king after the bishop trade, though. No, with my bishop he never has the c4 square, I think. Let me see. Well, especially not now that he went to h7, which is a bad move, of course. Yeah, the moment he allowed me to enter. And yeah, but of course I'm not gonna trade bishops. I'm not gonna trade bishops. Well, he's maneuvering to attack my only pawn he can attack, basically. So he tried, but I saw. Looks like a draw if white keeps the bishop on the f1 a6 diagonal. Yes, if he keeps that there, I need to break the structure with my bishop maybe here, and I have chances. I'm not saying this is winning. I'm not gonna be banning Roken for that. What I mean is not that my position is winning. What I mean is easier to play for me because I have targets. and he only has one target. So as long as I don't blunder, allowing him to play bishop d7, if he stays on c4, yeah, that's why I play this, because I want to play h5. Let's say h5. He might not take, which is probably the best. Then I will probably play f5 or h4. I have several ideas, but of course no one can work. Just h5 white can ignore. I think ignoring is the best, actually. I think if he doesn't ignore, then he might have a problem, a very severe problem. He has to ignore h5. But I keep having targets. I keep, exactly, black is playing for two results. That's what I'm trying to say, exactly. And it should have been a draw, but at some point he allowed me to enter, and computer says no problem, white holds here, but now it's difficult. And here is when we started playing blunders. According to the engine, taking here was a blunder because I didn't see the best move here, bishop c8. Bang! Tough move to see. Bishop c8 winning for white. So when I took on h3, it's because I thought he can never trap my bishop because I go back to f1. Yeah, bishop a6 is the threat, exactly, Pluku. Tough to see though. And after bishop c8, if h5, oh, we have the line here, king g3, exclam, because if I go here, he just takes on h. So yeah, we blundered. It's good. We're not perfect. We committed blunders. The engine finds moves that are hard for humans to see in a blitz game. But life was easier for black. And I could have lost the game if, for example, he finds bishop c8. So I'm not saying, I'm not trying to say that I was winning or I was losing or everything. I'm just saying this was easier for me. And 9 times out of 10, things will work out well. So the game went king g1, king here, blunder after blunder, because we didn't see these ideas. And then h5. He goes here, and then another mistake, pawn takes, and engine says, this is funny, engine says best move was bishop takes. And that's because engine thinks white still with the advantage. And now taking with the pawn was a huge blunder. But taking with the bishop didn't feel right also. According to the engine, bishop c4 is the best move. Yeah, now position is awesome for me because I still have the best bishop in a position where the pawns are very hard to defend. Yeah. Yeah. And he resigned. And because we missed the tactical shots, we both thought the same about this endgame. He said, good job, good technique. And I said, I had the better bishop. But of course, chess is complicated and we're not perfect and we make mistakes. But the thing is, it was much easier for me, the endgame after the bishop trade here on e3. And he offered the trade here. So we might argue that bishop e3 was risky, strategically speaking, because it was his best bishop. but computer will say, no problem, bishop e3, good move, 0.00 before and after the move. But it made life easier for me. So I think from a practical point of view, this kind of understanding is important, and engines will never tell this was a practical decision. What other examples can we have? Let me see. Oh, from the strategic blunders study. Let's put some example. It's amazing what positions are holdable according to engines. Yeah, and of course, the more you improve your endgames technique, also the more understanding you gain. I think that's uh, one of the ways to increase your chess understanding, or your strategical understanding, is to study endgames, because studying endgames you get to understand how one things are better than others and how holdable is something. Um, Let me see. Okay, this is not a good example. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. This might not be a good example either. um, well, I guess commentating games, strategy is so big that sometimes I think one way how I um, how I improve my understanding is by just watching stronger people doing commentaries on other games. Okay. Oh, this was a very interesting game. Maybe I can use this one. Yeah, but that's tactical. Endgame understanding makes a strategy easier since you can see what you're planning for. Yeah, exactly. Um, Maybe. Okay, let me find some other game to do commentaries, maybe. This game here, this game here. From time to time, watching strong players comment on games, but they usually comment so fast that it's tough to follow. Yeah, I think that's also important to find your best, what suits better for you. Because, for example, I I like Ben Feingold, or I like Yasser Seirawan, I like Eric Rosen. I don't know. I like a lot of people, but if I follow Peter Svidler, for example, that's too much for me. Peter Svidler is like, he's every sentence he says, he's like 3 steps ahead of me, and it's not easy to follow. But yeah, people such as Ben Feingold or Yasser, you can tell they're doing lessons every week at the school, so they they're used to use more accessible language. And Eric, yeah, Eric Rosen as well. So yeah, I was trying to find a game. Okay, maybe we can Okay, let's see if I have this game here, because that's a funny game. And Pep, of course. Da, 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 da. Okay, I have several interesting games to share. I have one with an isolated queen pawn, which I always use to explain that to my students. I have some attacking games, and I have one game that is very funny where my opponent was totally crushing me, and he managed to get to a losing endgame. I can use, yeah. I have also the game where I defeated an international master by just doing nothing. Several interesting games here. A game where I crashed my opponent out of the opening this year. I don't know. In the case of Feingold, his YouTube videos are so much better than his streams. It's not even close. You can learn a lot from his lectures, but in his streams he gets repetitive and asks for donations every 2 minutes. Yeah, he's also repetitive in the lectures, I would say, but I just like it. I can only recommend Strategic Play from Jacob Agard. It's written for GM candidates, yet as Patzers can learn a lot from the examples he provides. Yeah, there are a lot of good books out there. What? Okay, which one of these games could be strategically interesting? Because, yeah, tactics everywhere. No. Tactics everywhere. The last game of this league, that was a tough one. Show some Karpov game. The problem with showing some Karpov game is I'm not Karpov, and it's gonna be harder for commentators. But yeah, you might be right. Maybe I should do that. Let me see. This was the game I lost or the game I won? Oh, this was the game I was losing, and I managed to draw. Yeah, I had several of those. No, I think I'm gonna show. Yeah, I think I know which one I'm gonna show, and I have it here. Or maybe I start with this one. Okay, let's start with one that is easy to explain. And this way I'm going to cover important things about attack and defense, I think. Attack? I don't know how. Some decisions on attack. I don't know how to title the game. Let's go to the starting position. Well, an attacking game. Have a couple of attacking games, so which one to pick? This one is an. Are you familiar with the IQP? An attacking game with the IQP. Isolated queen pawn. I'm going to go through the game and I'm going to ask you some questions just to see if we have the same understanding. Isolated queen's pawn, yeah. So I was playing against the French defense, and this was a classical chess game. And those who see me play bullet nowadays, they know I play this in bullet. But I played this in classical chess games back in the day. Queen e2 line, the queen e2 line, the infamous queen e2 line. Anyway, my opponent played the main move, c5, knight f3. I'm going to skip the fast through the opening. Yeah, and I think I already explained this, but I will tell for everyone just in case. This is the only move for white that makes 2d5 a bad move. That's the only reason to play queen e2, but it has its own problems. Anyway, it's playable, so knight c6, c3, knight g7, and d4, because black didn't play d5, so I had time to play d4, cd, cd, d5, I keep developing, knight c3, and now black makes my life easier. Queen e2 is not so uncommon. Some people also avoid French with d3. Yeah, I did that back in the day also. Anyway, here black made a decision that from a tactical point of view it's not a problem. It's nothing wrong with it. But from a strategical point of view, it makes something that makes my life easier as white. So what is white's problem in this position? White's main problem is this queen on e2 that is blocking the bishop on f1, and with the c file opened, it's very obvious that I want to castle short. So yeah, exactly, the bishop on f1 and the queen on e2 blocking it. So of course, if black does something normal like, I don't know, knight g6 and bishop e7, or g6 bishop g7, or a6 or bishop d7, just normal developing moves, I would probably have to go for g3 bishop g2, or moving the queen, maybe queen c2, queen e3, something like that, then move the bishop out, then castle. So I have to spend some tempi to be able to castle. However, black here took on e4, and because there's no more knight f6, I can take with the queen. Next move, I will get my bishop out. So the engine is not impressed with either white or black. The engine says d takes e4, okay, not bad. But from a human point of view, it's my opponent is helping me solving my problems. So I would almost consider that a strategical, not a strategical blunder, but a strategical inaccuracy, if you want. And I think that's when you try to understand one position, you need to think about your assets, your problems, and your opponent's assets and problems. And here, black didn't think about my problem and totally helped me solve it. And that's something I appreciate when my opponents do that. Hey, white kid. So what black wanted, of course, is to force the situation when I have the isolated queen pawn, but it would eventually happen at any point. Maybe black was not interested in me playing e5 when I would have a space for to create an attack, but honestly my problem is still this one, so probably e5 would be a loss of a tempo. So yeah, d takes e4 definitely helped me. Now let's move on. In the following moves, computer says this is triple zeros, equal position, but of course there's already an imbalance because I have the isolated queen pawn. And okay, before moving on, can you tell me, or can someone tell in the chat, what are the ideas for both sides here when you have an isolated queen pawn? What do you know about the strategy involved in this type of positions? Yes, white kid, we were having discussions on strategy and strategical thinking, and in this case it's an attacking game, so we're gonna discuss some strategical concepts of this specific game. But we were discussing a lot before about strategy, and so trade blockade. Okay, so Bowie Fischer is saying attack or push the pawn. Clash Kid says trade, blockade the pawn, the classic goals in these positions. Cheskin says block the IQP with a piece. Karmar says black will probably use it as a target, while white needs to defend it with pieces or get rid of it, I would guess. Cheskin says 2, try to be active every time. White needs to keep his minor pieces, and black needs to remove them. That's a good point, White Kid. I like that one. No, but all you said is right. Except maybe there's something Karmar said. Black will probably use it as a target. Okay, that's right. That's right. I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's probably right in the long term. So what black usually does is to block it first, and then in an eventual endgame, it will be a target. And that means that what White Kid is saying is important. Black is interested to trade pieces to go to an endgame. C5 is your strong square, put your minor piece there, and then rook d1. Well, that's very concrete, Shri Chess, and I'm not even sure if that's right, but okay, that's very concrete and tactical. What you're saying, it's just a very specific thing about, in this position, still a lot of things can happen. Use IQP as a missile. Good afternoon, OJ. Yeah, so I think many people, amongst, together we all got the ideas of how we should approach this position. I think it's important when we see a game after it was played, everything seems to have a logic, and it's easier to put a logic in it and explain he did this because he wanted that, and then he got this, and then he got that, and it's all very logical. But when you're there in the board, there's a lot of possibilities, and it also depends on your opponent's choices. So I don't like to think, in chess about a series of logical cause-effect things, a logical cause-effect chain, but more of a themes or ideas that belong together and things that don't belong together. For example, having an IQP, having the isolated pawn, goes together with attack, as someone suggested, goes together to keeping pieces. The same as attacking goes together with keeping pieces on the board. Being restrained in space, as black is, goes together with playing against the isolated pawn, trying to trade pieces, blockade the pawn. So all those things go together. But you have to keep at least a rook with black, or it's a draw if you exchange everything. Yeah, of course, of course. Well, it's not necessarily a draw, but I get your point. But yeah, so what white should do is to attack, and that goes together with keeping the pieces on the board, especially the big ones, especially the ones that allow you to attack them all. And black usually tries to block the pawn. So, okay, black already has knight, pawn, and queen, and will eventually add more pieces. Knight b4 to d5 is a typical idea. Clash Kid says, not sure if my thinking is right, but usually you get the IQP for some sort of advantage, better pieces, better development, etc. for the cost of a weak pawn. And if you can trade it all, that's left is your better pieces development. Yes, because the IQP gives you space. You have better pieces in the sense that you have more chances to coordinate your pieces, while black remains a little bit restrained in space. So yeah, you have that short-term advantage, but of course having that isolated pawn is a long-term weakness. Black's in control of the square in front of the IQP. Yeah, I normally prefer to play against it than with it. Yeah, some some types of positions, like this one with white, do require immediate action. You cannot like just, okay, I'll play bishop e2, castle, play h3, a3, and no, you cannot play slowly. You need to attack. When we say that this goes together with attack, it means you need to attack. How I can contact you? You can whisper on Twitch, but I will, or send me a message on Chess, but I will answer after the stream, not now. Well, after the stream, I will teach lessons here in the school, but at some point I will answer you. Okay, what was I saying about things that go together? Yeah, white must attack. White cannot play slowly this type of position. So sometimes you look for this type of positions because you like to play like that. Like, for example, I like to attack. And sometimes you get it. Sometimes you don't look for it, but you get a position like this, and then you need to attack. you cannot like just play normal. Did you play the cheapo queen e2 line? It's not a cheapo, but yeah, I played that line. Anyway, so I need to attack. Black's interest is to block the pawn and or trade pieces. So I kept developing. If I find black's move, okay, black played a6, which was a slow move, but it's not a mistake. It's nothing wrong. I played bishop c4 because I want to castle. And of course, you cannot attack insanely. You need to first develop all of your pieces. And one thing I did right in this game is in the opening I moved every piece only once except for the queen. But the queen moved when my opponent was kind to solve my problem with the queen. Anyway, so here he played knight b4. And okay, knight b4 has a very, very, very clear idea to block the pawn, right? But black is spending maybe too many tempi with this idea. But okay, black obviously wants to block the pawn, and I did the obvious. I castled, and my opponent played knight bd5, which I think it's probably not best. I mean, he could wait and do it later, but I guess he didn't find a better move, and because of this ping, he probably wanted this first and then b5 or something. I don't know. Anyway, you should look at YouTube video about blah 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 blah. Okay. So don't blink because action is about to happen in this game. What do we have here? We have the isolated queen pawn. We want to attack. We want to keep our pieces in the board to attack. Black wants to trade pieces and block the pawn. But black spent too many tempi with this knight, so white is more developed. Actually, white is very developed compared to black. And here it comes after my next developing move, bishop g5, putting some pressure on d5 maybe. He played a very suspicious move here. Very, very, very suspicious move. Like, very suspicious. And maybe it's not suspicious for you. So okay, I'll try you guess. No, he didn't play f6. He didn't play f6. But oh, you blinked. No. No, I'll let you say which move would you do here with black? I'm not even sure what the engine says. I'm assuming h6 is the best move. I think I expected h6, but he didn't play h6. What did you do with what would you do with black here? h6, b5. Montues Weathers Frisat Sun. Thanks for the follow. I'm Ping Queen. I'm Ping Queen. Okay, I think I like all the. Well, I'm Ping Queen. I'm not sure how, but did he go g6? No, he didn't go g6. Simple bishop d7. I like simple bishop d7. I think I like b5 unless it has a tactical problem that it might have. Takes. No, it hasn't, right? Well, b5, I guess bishop takes e7 is a move to consider. And then I might be winning a pawn on d5 after, for example, this. I'm winning this pawn, right? But for example, this line would strategically be good for black. I mean, if black, by only the price of a pawn, gets a position where he can trade a lot of pieces and in this case have the bishop pair, but that's unimportant. The thing is, if black can trade a lot of pieces, and this pawn is going to be weak in the endgame. So this is the typical pawn down endgame that is very easy to draw, and even black could eventually have an advantage because of the bishop pair. Maybe not here because of the check, I don't know, or maybe yes, because c7 is protected. So yeah, this position could be even good for black. So yeah, some lines that lead to major trades could be really good for black, as we discussed in our plans for both sides. Guess it's queen a5. No, he didn't play queen a5. So it's interesting. You didn't guess the move he did. He did a move that was like, ooh. My first impression was like, can you do that? It's been forever since I last played on leeches. Okay, I'm gonna show the move. He played knight f6. Let's make main line, promote variation. Yeah, main line. Knight f6, suspicious. So, who played that game? Well, this game was me with white, and my opponent was Pepe Barreiro, who's I think he's a 1900 player from here, from Galicia. During a chess league, like several years ago, a couple of years ago, I think it was this game. And hey, good emotes. Anyway, my opponent played knight f6, which is like okay, let's ask the chat, let's vote, or just ask, why do you think this is a suspicious move? No, nothing. What is suspicious about this knight move? It can create double pawn and weaken king position. Yeah, but I think I like chess king. Yeah, what chess king is saying. I think actually not 3 but 4. Look at this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Knight f6 is literally the most suspect thing he could have done. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not as bad as f6, but almost. And it's not even about the double pawns. It is not blocking the isolated queen pawn anymore. Yeah, also that. But if black would have saved king with a castle queen side, exactly clash king. I think what was very suspicious for me was, this knight moved 4 times. So in general, bishop takes f6 is not a move I would consider, because I want to attack, I want to keep pieces on the board, I want to preserve the bishop pair. But in this specific situation, it was like, maybe taking on f6 is not so bad, because a knight moved 4 times to be traded. So maybe it's not so bad. Of course, I had to calculate here. It wasn't an obvious decision to trade on f6. But if I don't trade on f6, I have to move my queen. Go for 95. No, my queen is attacked. My queen is attacked. So, okay, I calculated here, and I went for bishop takes f6 because it was working. But again, it's important how sometimes you calculate and then you come to a conclusion. As in the first example, I calculated a lot and I came to a conclusion that I didn't understand, to sacrifice a second pawn. Here it was the other way around. Here it was like, this is very suspicious, I can take it and start attacking immediately with d5, rar. And then I checked the calculations to see whether it works or not. Tricky logic, can't quite tell if it is sound. Which logic of Borg? Queen d3, 95 and rook fe1 looks good. Yeah, position is good, but I think the only good move here was to take on f6. And of course calculations are required and tactics are required, but how to put this? RAR also plays a role in strategical thinking. Strategy is about making your life easier. Okay, I know how to put this. As Ben Feingold says sometimes, all moves are good and bad. Does bishop takes knight burn his 4 tempi, or did he already burn them? He did already burn them. If I play 2 moves with the bishop and he plays 4 moves with the knight and we remove both pieces from the board, actually it's questionable if bishop takes d5 is spending yet another tempo, because he has to spend it with g takes f6. So if I play 2 moves to remove from the board something that makes 4 moves and another recapture move, I'm winning tempi actually. I'm winning tempi. The outcome is I'm gonna have 4 pieces developed, queen, bishop and 2 knights, and he's gonna have the knight on e7 that we can consider developed. So yeah, in general, if you move a piece a lot and then you trade it, it's not good for development. Now, what I was saying, as Ben says, every move is good and bad at the same time. So of course there are some drawbacks to take on f6. One of them is I lose the bishop pairing and open position. That was the one that concerned me the most. So I really needed to be sure about my calculations, needed to be sure that this was winning, and it was. Give me a second. And I'm back, sorry. So yeah, taking has drawbacks. I trade pieces when I want to attack. I lose my bishop pairing and open position when I want to attack. But of course, it has a lot of positives that clearly compensated for that. So bishop takes f6, pawn takes f6, and now rar d5. And of course, he wants to block. He doesn't want me to take on e6. He doesn't want to take on d5 and open the position. Then I would be pinged on e7, so I can just take on d5 with any piece. So he played e5, which was the logical move. And I had this calculated. Bam! Knight takes e5. That works very smoothly. Have the game for here. Yeah, I remember the game actually. My overboard rating is so bad, but I have a decent rating on chess.com. Good. Okay, so in this case the tactics worked out well, and of course I took on f6 because I saw this. Pawn takes, and with the d6 threat I'm at least regaining the piece here, and his king in the center, and yeah, this is terrible for him. I have to say that I also saw this cute trick here. If f5 or bishop f5, it's the same. I played d6. That was cute. There's this checkmate. And also here there's this queen takes g6, bam! Checkmate again. So neither f5 or bishop f5 worked because of this d6 trick. So he went just to take the piece. And here I think he played rook g8. Yeah, rook g8, d6. And here I thought he would play bishop h3, but he saw this knight e4, knight f6 strong idea, so he went for rook g6. I took, he took. And and I think I'm gonna stop here for the last time in this session, because like in 20 minutes I need to go, but we can stop here in this position, which was also a very key position of the game. And I want to ask you, how would you think about this position? I mean, during the game I can tell you I was thinking I was totally winning here, and I'm totally winning here. But how to proceed here? There are several ways to win here, but I found the best by pure calculation, but I found it. And yeah, this is a tactical position, so I don't want to ask you for which is the best move, but which should be looking for. As Pluku is pointing out, he would be looking for mates. Yeah, queen h5 and queen h8 were two candidate moves. King in the center, that's an important factor, yes. Interesting question is, would you really consider a queen trade here? It seems like black would be a little relieved. That's an interesting question, Clash Kid, about the queen trade. However, let me point out that I like the knight to d5. Yeah, white has several ideas. For example, rook e1 is one move. It's another candidate move. Yeah, I will tell you all my first the ideas that are in the position. One idea is if we move the queen, we're threatening rook e1, right? Another idea is knight e5 ideas, but we need to trade queens first. Now let me tell you some ideas for black. If we just go like this, for example, black can force the queen trade by threatening mate. The same happens, for example, if queen a5, queen here. So that's one idea for black. Black has also some ideas like bishop h3, when if black wins a tempo, he might castle very fast. So there's a lot of ideas and tactics involved, but in general, we would like to kill the king while still in the center, and avoid trading queens. Now, rook e1 was a good move, and I think it was my second option, because we would keep the pressure with the knight e5 idea, precisely. After, for example, this knight e5, I think, I can't remember exactly how the tactics worked here, but yeah, I had these candidate moves: rook here, queen here, queen here, queen f4, and queen a5. If I remember correctly, those were all my candidate moves. But all of them had drawbacks. For example, the queen h8, a funny drawback was rook g7. and there are also ideas like bishop e6 and then castle, and what's my queen doing? Queen f4 is had the problem of rook g4, if I remember correctly. Bishop takes f7. Bishop b5. Oh, that's too much. Sacrificing the bishop, I'm sure I calculate them, but they were not the best moves. There was also queen h5, whose problem was bishop g4, if I remember correctly. And then there was the move I made, and I got it by pure calculation. This is a tactical position. So we were saying before that sometimes you calculate the position and you get a move that is good, that you could have gotten it with just strategical thinking because you have the knowledge, but sometimes you don't have the knowledge, so you get it by pure calculation. This is not a strategical position. So we have the ideas. We would like to keep the queens, we would like to kill the king in the center, but it's a very tactical position where the position is open. There are so many possibilities, you really need to calculate them. It's not obvious. We cannot explain this logically like, oh, the best move is queen a5 because that way we cut the king, he can castle. How about the f2 pawn to f4? I'm sure I probably considered that move also, but if we're gonna trade queens, why ruining our structure and weakening our king, right? I think I would reject it, or I probably had rejected it because of that. There's a strategical decision to trade or not to trade. Not entirely, because it's not easy to avoid the trade. I mean, from a strategical point of view, exactly, I would prefer not to trade queens. But all the moves to avoid the trade, like queen h5, queen h8, all had tactical drawbacks. So yeah, in an ideal world, I would play a move like queen c2, or I don't know, put the queen somewhere on the board that doesn't have any drawback, and then I will follow with rook e1, knight e5. But tactically, there was no option to do such a move like queen c2. So I had to go for one of these options, and then I got it by pure calculation. Now, some positions when you have, this is my opinion again, I'm a 2000 guy, I'm not a master, so I'm sure they would disagree with me in things I'm saying, but from a point of view, when you have some strategical understanding, you smell when you have to calculate and when you don't have to calculate. You smell when you have to just be practical, and in this kind of position, for example, strategically I would say, oh, I need to keep queens, but how to do it in a practical way, I don't see it. I need to calculate. This is very open, this is very tactical. There are several ideas for both sides. I smell I have to calculate here. I cannot come up with an obvious positional conclusion here. That was my impression, and still is. I need to know what you play now. Okay, I played what I think is the best move, so if you turn the engine on, it will eventually tell Queen A5 was the best move. And I played this because the only drawback, well, there were like two drawbacks. One was Queen G5, of course, but the only drawback, the one that scared me, I found a tactical solution to it. And it was B6, was the move that concerned me at first. And then I found the beautiful bishop b5 check, which wins in every line. So I found that tactical solution to the drawback I found in that line, to the b6 idea. And yeah, if you explore the lines, everything wins from here. So he didn't play b6, by the way. But it was the move that at first concerned me because, you know, winning tempo against my queen, etc. Queen d4. Ah, yeah, queen d4 was another candidate move. Yeah, queen d4 was another candidate move. You're right. And if bishop g7, queen b6. No. There's a rook on g6. Clash kid. Queen b6 not very possible. But yeah, queen d4 was another move, and the drawback was the same as with queen f4. The drawback was rook g4, if I remember correctly. And then if queen b6, no, queen b6 is not possible, of course. 600 in tactics, yay! Let's keep it going. Good job. So yeah, the main move is queen a5. Let me promote the main line. There you go. Queen a5, bam, good move. So b6 doesn't work, and he played queen g5. Let's promote that to main move as well, if I can. How can I promote? Or is it promoted? It is promoted. It's the main line, all right. Yeah, b6, bishop b5, bam. This was nice. This was nice to find that. Anyway, queen g5. And one of the reasons why I played the queen a5 line is because I saw here I have an intermediate move instead of trading queens immediately, which is rook e1 check. Which I think forced bishop e7, if I remember correctly. Yes. And then after the trade he has to take with the rook, and then knight e5. Bam! And okay, from here on I think the game doesn't have a lot of strategical value. It's more about technique and calculation. Here, of course, because of this threat, he has to go bishop e6, and I had seen that here I have this interesting fork, or this rook takes e6 followed by the fork idea. So let me... Okay, here maybe I had to choose between them, two options, and I chose... Maybe we can argue it was a strategical decision also. Let me show you briefly the lines. So the idea is, if we take first, we check and then take the rook. So in the end we're a piece up, right? This would be a piece up. Now, if I go here first, check, and then I cannot take the rook, I need to take here first, check. No, that's a bad move. Wait, what? Take. Why would you give away an exchange voluntarily? Because I'm a piece up in the end of the line. I give up an exchange to take a rook, so that's like winning a piece. Now, if I win the exchange by going knight c7 check, let me remember how to do this. Very interesting and instructive stream. Thanks for the bits, Karmar. Now I can't. Oh yeah, I have the fork. Yeah. Okay, so I can take it. And now if he takes here, I have the fork, right? And that's a piece up again. And if not, how would I not be a piece up? I can't remember. I thought it was an exchange. So here he might have a better move. Ah, yeah, of course. He does this. And then I take the piece. And again, I'm a piece up. I can't remember how these lines worked. Not only a piece, but you don't lose the exchange. I'm quite lost. Yeah. So what was wrong with 97 check? Let me have a look. Quickly see what the engine thinks about 97, king f8, or king d8. King d8 takes. Yeah, exactly this line, right? So here we're an exchange up. That was the line, king, exactly. You're right, white kid and ty are 1s. So this is an exchange up. The other line is a piece up. But here also he has the bishop pair. So I went for the other line, for the line with this one, with a piece up. But of course, I need to be sure that my knight escapes. So I worked that out tactically. And after king d7, knight takes a8, I needed to be sure that after king c6, my knight cannot be trapped. And of course, the idea to see here is going with the bishop to this diagonal. And then the knight escapes because the king cannot protect both squares. So once I saw that construction there, I went for this rook takes c6 line. And that was the last strategical decision, to choose between two winning lines. Because of course, if this works tactically, being a piece up is better than being an exchange up. Anyway, he didn't go for king c6, I think. So the rest of the game is not very interesting. Yeah, he went for bishop c5. I'll show you the rest of the game just for your curiosity. Promote variation. One check in here. Bishop takes c6. Bishop d6. h4, rook e5. Bishop g4. Rook b5, b3. Rook b4. Rook c1 check. King d5, bishop f3 check. g3, not even giving up a pawn. a5, c7, b5, rook e1 check, and now king d4, knight a6, and he resigned after this. Okay, so if you like this type of session, we could do more maybe. Thank you, Karmar, for the beats. I think this kind of conversation can help. I like, for example, when Mio Drag Perinovic does he does some. Oh, Garth, follow me! Thanks for the follow. I like when he did some opening theory streams where he really involved the audience on ideas and so. But I'm not so good at opening, so I don't know. You got me thinking about Tempi accounting now. Good talk today. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to do this type of thing because it also helps me prepare my ideas and my speech for so okay, anyway, now I really have to go. So it was good to see you here, and see you soon. I think I'm gonna raid someone. If Jonas is streaming, maybe we can raid here. Thanks, Raid Clay. Let's see if we can raid someone. I have to go, but have good lessons. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. See you later. Raid. See you, OJ. See you, Plupu. Let's go with the raid. Some arenas later on, probably. Very probably. So, see you later, guys.